Timothy Jones is a troublemaker. Send him to Wallens Ridge. They decided that he needs the royal treatment. Send him up the creek. Take him up the mountain. And from there, I seen the worst of treatment. This all-white administration, maybe 10% black officers. Now, could you imagine you, Mr. Nick, as a white man, a white American, no real understanding of how to deal with black people with compassion, if you will, on a whole level. There's no black mercy, no black sympathy. It's up in the mountains. It's secluded, it's nothing. Down lowland, you may get a visit, but no visit unless your people fly a plane. You live in the valley of the shadow of death under fear tactics. Tactics is what they say they use. This is unfounded. This is the language they like to use for complaints and grievances. Well, we looked into the matter and it's unfounded. That's when I start getting turned down for parole. He has a big mouth. He's even out now talking on the TV or talking to people. Why don't he keep his mouth shut? I couldn't do it in prison, and I won't do it out here. Anywhere I see abuses and misjustice, I have to do what the God has blessed me to do, and they'll speak against it. They say there was something wrong there. There was always something wrong.
What I really enjoy most is watching the crops grow and watching the animals grow. The spring of the year is probably my favorite time of year. You plant new crops and, you know, they're emerging through the soil. And you go back, you know, a week later and look at them, they're 3 or 4 inches tall. And that's a good time of year, spring of the year is.
Why do you think they put the prison here?
Well, gosh, that's kind of a hard question. I prefer to see corn or wheat growing over there, or tobacco, or cows. It's not really going to do anything for our community.
When Westmoreland shut down, which is headquartered in Big Stone Gap, at one time worked 5,000 people. That got down to, in the early 90s, about 700. And then in the snap of a finger, they closed, which means those jobs disappeared immediately overnight. And that had a devastating effect on this town, Coal Town, as well as the surrounding communities. If anybody's going to be picky about what jobs you get, when you're hungry, honey, you'll take a job. I mean, I don't know of anybody or any part of the country can say, well, we're not going to take this kind of job, we're not going to take that kind of job. That'd be, you know, times change. We weren't going to have a prison here because there was no money. It came to me, why don't we build it and rent it to the state? It was kind of wild. But oddly enough, when we ran it by the state, they thought it sounded pretty good. So within 3 weeks, they had legislation on the floor of the House, and it passed overwhelmingly, giving us the authority to build this prison.
As far as the input from the community, we had very little, maybe 1 or 2 people that had questions about putting a prison up there. We were going to get those jobs.
When the prison officials looked at it and we stood on top of the mountain, they went, "You're kidding, aren't you?" I said, "No, I'm not." But as all of us who live in the coal fields know, we can flatten a mountain in no time. We know how to do that. Site work was something like $14, $15 million just to develop the site. And that included getting the road up there. So that was just site work. We called for a general meeting of the community. Of course, when the people from the State Department got here from the Department of Corrections, they said, oh no, because they had been to places to put a prison where they'd actually been threatened by guns, don't come to our community. And to put it mildly, this was a cheerleading outfit they came to.
It was like a pep rally. You know, it was like, you know, and then they wanted to see if there were any questions from the community. And so a couple of people got up and they were all singing the praises. And of course you're getting less wanting to say anything because it was really a pep rally. That's all it was. Well, I did get up and I can't remember I just raised a question. And it was like, it was almost like the booing and the crowd. It was just, I never felt so, first of all, I never felt so alone. The herd mentality of that everything that they said was absolute truth, and everything that was going to be happening in our community was going to be wonderful, and this was the best thing that could come into our community, and it was just, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget my feeling in that place. It was just awful.
Nothing around here pays as much as they will, because nobody likes to pay a lot around here.
Plus, I think it's more secure than just like a fast food job or something. We could probably find a job in the mines paying about the same. It's not something you want to start out at as
When it's back going.
As a career. Yeah, you don't want to start looking into it as a career.
We could be 30 years old and out of work because there's no more coal around here.
I just need a job.
I just thought I'd come and see what the prison was about, see if there was any job opportunity that I could get into. I applied to a lot of different places, and they really want somebody who has a lot of work experience, and I can't, you know, get a job without work experience, but I can't, you know, you see how it's the whole circle? Anything with a good pay, you know?
Corrections officer, guard. I think that's the only thing I'd be really qualified for to come out of the military. So I think I've pretty much done all this stuff, this prisoner handling and stuff, you know. But I know a lot of people, they talk about going over the line too much and enforcing more than what they should and being on a power trip or something.
I know that there's a lot of racism in Southwest Virginia, but for me, I mean, I can honestly say I'm colorblind. I don't look at race, but anytime you cage people up like that, you have to. The psychological aspect of it's, you know, it's deep, and racism probably would come up, but you know, that's something that hopefully they would train you for. We have to leave it in their hands to train us. I think it'd be an exciting job, you know. You always be doing something new. It'd be like kind of like teaching or something. So, you know, I'm willing to try it.
But the unique thing about this institution is this main building separates the prison in half. So you have 600 inmates on one side and 600 on the other. They cannot interact with each other. So you're running two prisons for the price of one. One of the unique things in any prison is noise. Noise in prisons provides more stress for staff and inmates than anything. Here it's different. Do all of them.
We have educational programs.
There's two reasons you come here. You're serving a long period of time, 85 years, 80 years, 75 years, or you have been a violent offender and a predator in another prison. Well, both of those tell us you don't need education right off the bat.
Super much they earn. I mean,
you earn your way in and you earn your way out.
That's right, that's what I mean. They deserve.
Two frame defense already, buddy. Just looking right over here. And there's one last try.
Curiosity, I guess, to see what it's like.
I just wanted to see, you know, where the hardened criminals, what kind of life they had.
Just the guards standing in the post staring at you. Ooh, I even said, ooh, I got goosebumps. They start out at $24,000 a year doing this kind of work. They don't make enough money, that's for sure. They really don't. Billy, that is razor wire.
The men and women who toiled through 24-hour shifts, 7 days a week, to hurry this facility and get it ready, even through, as I understand it, 10-foot snowdrifts sometimes up here on top of this ridge. The construction of this facility is an epic challenge, and now I think it's an epic achievement. $4 million of contracts were awarded locally. And from the architects in Arlington to the cement cells from Petersburg, all these materials that went together to make this. We've abolished parole, past 3 strikes and you're out, and that's going to mean safer communities across this state because of this facility here today.
Organizing this is something, and your mind is perfect. All right, no, we don't need to hold the pictures down there so we don't crowd it up.
This is what I wanted to get to. This is the badge of the Department of Corrections, and on the back it says, the ultimate bed and breakfast. Wallens Ridge State Prison.
We had to predict how many inmates were coming in. It's very hard to predict. So we built prisons. And the inmate population did not get up to the level that we predicted that they would. Other states did not build their prison systems, and we were able to take them in. Charging them, not charging the taxpayers of the Commonwealth of Virginia.
So if you might put your hands down by your side, it might be a little bit better. Great. A couple of more very quickly.
We were able to house those inmates and also generate, beyond that, $80 million in profit for the General Assembly and for the general fund.
Okay, ready? In the hopes there won't be many Gilmores coming through this ribbon.
Beautiful.
Supermax prisons almost became a status symbol, a way that politicians could say, we're tough on crime. You had a governor who said, oh, we need these Supermaxes. They built 2 of them with a capacity of 1,200 each. So suddenly Virginia has 2,400 beds for the, worst of the worst, violent people who need this kind of, and they didn't have that many people in their system. You then have prison systems that have too many prisoners, and they have to put them somewhere. And instead of the legislators saying, well, let's look at who's in prison and do they really need to be in prison, and let's see if we can adjust the prison population more sensibly. Some people simply don't need to be in prison. The correction officials are stuck. They have to send them someplace, and so they've been sent out of state. It's very troubling. It's sort of like we've become a kind of bazaar. Inmates are a commodity who are shipped around the country, and you even have brokers who, okay, this prison system has empty beds and this prison system has too many people, and we'll arrange the deal.
We've had a lot of comments made that these are bad inmates. Well, New Mexico has a history of bad inmates. We all remember out in Dallas what happened, where we were told that our prisoners just were too bad for that institution. Well, we found a place for them that I think that will be suitable for their behavior, and I don't think they're going to like it one bit.
I think it's imperative to get these inmates that engaged in the disruption and destruction and violence out of this state into a super maximum security facility and let them know what their price to pay is going to be. I'm sorry if they have family members, they're not going to see them. A lot of people think they should be sent out on a barge or an island. This is probably the best thing we got to it.
They never tell you where you're going when they tell you you're being transferred. See, they always love to keep you in the dark. They'll tell you, hey, pack up your stuff, you're getting transferred. Guys already know. Showing up the next day, they on the van. They handcuff everybody, leg iron, shackle them. There is a welcoming gathering of correction officers. The warden is there, dogs are there, We are in leg irons and shackles. We are in leg irons and shackles. They're spitting words of hate. Here, you're nothing, you're nobody. And if you step out of line, we're gonna shoot you. You already stripped down when it was transferring you from the other location, but they want you to strip down to this other place. They know you don't have anything, but they want to degrade a man and turn around and don't just squat and cough, but spread your ass cheeks is the language they was using. Not spread your buttocks, and not spread your ass cheeks. Let us look in your anus. And that ain't good enough. What man, and all this machoism, you know, could feel comfortable doing this thing? They even have a camera there. Those good old boys, if you will, in Red Onion and Wallens Ridge and that, learn your lesson section of the mountains, where they send what they call the worst of the worst, 85% black man.
First thing it made me think of is like selling slaves. They were just selling people down there, making over $11 million while they did this.
I got a letter, not even a 24-hour notification for him. It was just in the middle of the night, we're transferring you. I went on the internet just to try to find out where in the heck this place was at, you know, and how far away was he actually.
I said, how in the world am I gonna get to the South to visit him? You know? I have no transportation, I have no money,
He was shipped down the day before my birthday. I didn't find out till I went up to visit, and I was told he was gone to Virginia. It's hell. He said, getting off the bus, they had guns pointed at them. They treated them like garbage. Don't grin like that.
They snatched him out from us. Didn't even let us know and sent him to Wallens Ridge. Then in Wallens Ridge, he was taken down, he said, in a little dark room and told him, he said, you know, I could do anything I want to you guys, and your Connecticut family can't do a thing about it. These are the guards. So you guys better be particular on how you talk and how you walk, because we'll kill you, and the Connecticut never know that you existed.
We have behavior modification in life. Why shouldn't we have it in the prison system? We monitor phone calls. Within 1 month, inmates were calling back to their loved ones, and like their mothers, and telling them that their brother is incarcerated, that when you talk to him, tell him not to act up. He won't make it here. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what we have people go to prison for, to be punished for crimes they committed and hopefully not commit any more crimes while they're in there.
The Supermax model is one essentially of 24 hours a day in your cell. You get no access to education, to work. In Massachusetts, they said you could have religious books and you could have trashy novels, but you couldn't have any educational books because you had forfeited the right to educational books, which, again, I'm thinking, how could anybody, where did they come up with such a notion? States are strapped for money, so they're having to build prisons, but they don't want to spend a lot of money on staff, on programs, on education, on things that could make prisons more than warehouses.
One of the officers said to me, he said, it's like every day going into a war zone. He said, that's all I can say it is. It's a war zone. It's us against them. And as those who were pushing these prisons for their jobs were standing back, this was really a recipe for an explosion. Abuse of prisoners, racism. I don't think it took 4 months before the Human Rights Watch people were in here.
Well, I was a janitor at a nursing home at Dryden at that time. It wasn't a real high-paying job, you know, but I enjoyed the work. You got to really help the old people and things. My two brothers just said, you know, Chris, why don't you come up here and get a job up here? We'll help you get a job. And I said, I don't know if that work would be cut out for me. But after a while, I decided I'd go up there, you know, thinking about the money and the benefits and all of that. So I quit my job and I go to work up there. A lot of the inmates had never been down here before. They didn't know where they were at. A lot of the correction officers had never been dealt with anybody that was from the cities. You know, we were all from around here. Most of them had never been in no kind of law enforcement. And I think a lot of them, it went to their head. They liked that authority and that badge and all of that. We didn't understand each other, I guess you could say. And we were told, you know, you don't need to be talking about anything that goes on at this prison when you're off work. You need to keep your mouth shut, not say anything. When you go into a place like that every day and it's hopeless, and that's what it is, hopeless, you know, it does change you. When I left the prison, I started mowing grass with a push lawnmower and a weed eater out of the back of my car. I didn't make the money I made at the prison, but I was a whole lot more satisfied. It was like a burden that was lifted off of you. The money didn't matter anymore.
Families were calling about what's the closest bus station, where is this place, where are they, how can we get there?
I was wondering why would my son be way across the state when they had correction centers and everything at home. We try to fix it so when they come out, they can be a productive citizen. And I think the closest person and the closest one can do that is a family member.
I'm not going to be able to go to sleep till I get where I'm going. I don't like to fall asleep when I'm traveling. I like to stay up late.
Oh, number 10.
You're on 81 South, so we have to go
Yeah.
to
Yeah, uh-huh. The road's real small and those little mountains and stuff. Always scary.
Exit towards Lexington Roanoke, and then it said I-81 South.
Okay. Exit, Lexington, Roanoke, I exit there to I-81 South. Out here, dog, and you miss something. Boy.
We just want to see a hotel room. I'm very tired and looking forward to seeing my brother.
When was the last time you got to see him?
About 2 years ago. So I'm kind of lost a little bit, feeling our way.
They're thousands and thousands of miles away from Connecticut. I can't believe this. You start seeing mountains and everything else, and I'm saying to myself, I would never be in this part of the country for anything other than this. You know, I don't think I would be. Your ears are popping and you're going round and round and round, and it's like, oh my God, why would you build a prison so far up here and so secluded from, I mean, I know you have prisons out of neighborhoods, but it's like, it was just unbelievable where it's actually at.
Cameras are pointed at you like you're a prisoner. You're not allowed to get off the bus until the cameras are on. They pat search kids. Why? My 2 little girls went with me. It's kind of hard to explain to them that they need to be touched when we teach our kids that people should not be touching them.
They come out shackled around the waist, at the ankles, and at the wrist. The only thing that they unloosen is one arm to talk on the phone. I just think it's just because they want to do it. You know, they just want to do it. They just want the families to come and see their loved ones like that and just seem like they're animals. You know, and that's how he felt, like he was an animal, along with probably all the other inmates that were down there. That's how he felt, like a caged animal.
It was just a joy. He wished that, you know, he could hug us and have contact with us.
Oh, he was happy. He said the night before he didn't get any sleep at all. I guess it's like it was when I was in service, when I got a chance to come home for a couple of weeks after being away for 2 months. I didn't sleep at all that night.
Our trip was just perfect.
It drains families. I mean, it's bad enough that your heart is hurting because your child is in there, but on top of that, it's a financial burden also.
I was paying $150 a month, riding up and down the road to down in Virginia, costing us money, living in a hotel. I mean, the family also is being punished. Each family in Connecticut, that child is down there in that prison. We have to go, we have to spend massive amount of money. Telephone company, every one of these big corporations here in America has a hand in making money off the prison system. This is why they're saying, probably saying to the judge, give him more time, give him more time. We make money, we give you a cut in it. The more money we make, the bigger cut you'll get.
That's right.
And I do believe that. I really do believe that. They're not interested in if these guys are come home.
Guilty
Let's,
or not.
yeah, guilty or not guilty. Let's build more prison. We can make more money. We can make more money.
Being here is part of the competition. You need to show yourself in the circle of corrections people. Over the past 10 years, we've done about $1.2 billion of corrections work. It's a worldwide industry.
We've built about 35,000 cells in the last 12 to 15 years.
Reinforced concrete construction throughout. This would be what you would call a truly hard facility. If you look at that picture, that's the epitome of high gray walls. There's no doubt about that.
So like someone complains of chest pain, you can rule out a heart attack without having to move them.
32 caliber, 45-69 in our Trident. We have our hornet's nest sting ball grenades. We call it a behavioral modification.
It's aim for the chest if you would. If you hit him in the head, we get all the powder bouncing back on us.
You know, there's a reason they call it less lethal. You know, it still can't produce, you know, lethality. It's considered less lethal. It has less of a chance to produce lethality.
AT&T is a big supporter of the American Correctional Association. We sell to the correctional market. We provide automated inmate systems.
Verizon has some of the lowest rates in the nation, I do believe, for collect calls originating from prisons. But, you know, the fact is that they're not going to be charged at the same rates as just a call from your home. It just can't happen that way.
Polycarbonate, safety, cost, and durability.
It just feels good. It fits well, it feels good, it wears well. The state of Tennessee's been wearing this boot for the last couple of years, and they like it an awful lot.
They do work in penitentiaries. They don't get a lot of money. It's something like 5 cents an hour. But their families are able to supply them. They put money into their account. We have a lot of ethnic products, being that there are a lot of ethnics in jail.
I like that too.
This is a handheld stun device. This is called the Ultron 2. And very simply, you make contact by pushing this on somebody, all right? And that's what it looks like. To me, it feels like a bee sting, okay? Even if they're overused, it's easier to defend a case against overuse of this compared to the overuse of a nightstick or a baton.
We're talking real money in this industry in the last 20 years, the growth. I suspect it's going to flatten out, the growth, you know, because what? Just a little while ago it was 1 million people, and now I think it's 2 million. Well, hey, you know, and it's a fortune to keep people in cages, you know, with the high, you know, the special steel and the special concrete and the special, that's what this whole thing is, yeah. You know, you can stay in a motel or a nice hotel for cheaper than the government can house. But yeah, it's huge money, man. The concertina wire, the guns, you know, all that whole milieu of products that goes into, you know, housing people behind bars. The last 20 years has been a great capitalistic growth industry. It's made a lot of people money, and that's our culture. We're a capitalistic culture.
I got the Ultron. It's just a little electric gun type thing. It jolts you a little bit, but I mean, it ain't as potent as what some people may let on. The shield's used for cell entries. The officers down there it's like they wanted to do something. They'd rather do a cell entry than saying, hey, why don't you just give me that cut back or give me your tray back. They just cuss the inmate, or the inmate cuss him, so they wouldn't give him the chance. So there never was no respect there with a lot of the officers I seen at Wallens Ridge and the inmates.
We had a birthday party. He turned 21. Because I love him, I miss him. I can't believe that happened to him. I still think that, he's not dead. But I go to the cemetery, I go visit him, say a prayer and stuff. We go to church, light candles, I would never forget him.
The first time he ever been incarcerated at the age of 17 and dead at the age of 20. I could probably imagine David now going up to Virginia on that bus, scared. He didn't know about doing time in jail. Especially for a person's first time to ever be in jail, I can't see how they could end up in the worstest to the worst up in Virginia with mass murderers, people doing life, never coming home.
He was a good kid, David. He never bothered nobody.
He had one charge of possession of drugs.
He shouldn't have been down there. He should have got the help in Connecticut what he needed,
They should have been giving him some more type of help or something. Not throw him in a cell where, nobody's around and leave him in a cell all day by himself. But, he was a good kid. To me, he was like a little kid lost up there in the prison system, just walking around wondering, what am I doing up here? Like, where's my family at? If David was in Connecticut, he would have still been living today because the guards got to go get shields, they got to go get weapons and everything before they even open up the cell. So they're going to see him hanging and they're going to have to look at him for a little while. They're going to have to wait till the guy go gets all their equipment in order for them to go in there because they said that somebody might be faking it and the guards might get hurt.
Nobody said, well, let's find out. Wait a minute, the guy's, wait, he's a little tiny guy, he weighs 120 pounds. He's got a history of suicide attempts. He's in here on a minor drug possession charge. He's got a year and a week to serve before he's out of here. And
take him away from his family, his only support.
His only support, take him away from his doctors, take him away from his psychiatrist, take him away from his social worker who's keeping him alive, and let's slip him into this contract that permits us to send people down there as long as they have at least a year to serve. He's got a year and a week. All right, let's send him down there. Let's slip him into this contract that says you got to be at least 20 years old. And he was, 20 years old and 1 day. I mean, literally, he had just turned 20. So he just eked into this, and nobody paid any attention. Nobody looked out for this guy. Nobody did their homework. It was like 7 minutes before they finally go in. When they finally go in, do they cut him down? No, they send somebody back out again for a taser shield to cover him up so they can stun him into unconsciousness if he decides to lash out against the 7 guards.
Hard angle, I need backboard, I need stretcher, and a neck brace. Backboard, stretcher, and neck brace. So I just seen you do it. I've seen you do it. Yeah, actually we did. Get your medical stuff out and don't touch nothing. Don't take nothing down, don't touch nothing. Hey, close the door. I don't want nobody here.
Ready? Clear. You don't have to pre-seat going that low.
Ma'am? Ma'am, have they commenced in this? 1 o'clock a.m.?
The doctor pronounced him dead 1 a.m. in the morning. If the hospital's 10 minutes away, what was they doing with him all this time?
Why did he commit suicide? What drove him? Maybe he couldn't take the guards no more. Maybe
some letters that we had said the guards was doing stuff like spraying perfume in his cell.
Maybe a lot of things were happening we would never find out.
Governor Rhoda and Commissioner Armstrong signed a paper saying people with medical problems should not been up there. People with mental health problems should not been up there.
I hope to get justice, the truth I want. It's hard.
We just hope that, nothing don't happen to nobody else up there,
And Human Rights Watch wrote reports, and then when prisoners were shipped from Connecticut, there were a series of newspaper articles. Did that surprise you? Or?
Didn't surprise me, because the people in the North don't know the war's over. That's the same comment I gave to the Connecticut television station. It's over. and we're not prejudiced here.
But there's a certain amount of resentment. You know, when you read things in the newspaper about your sons and daughters and husbands and wives that work up there, and they're talked about like they're up there with whips and chains, beating people. You know, as a community, there's a certain amount of resentment in that.
Did I expect that from Amnesty International? Yes. Human rights? Yes. You see it right now with the Taliban people in Guantanamo Bay. You know. I'll answer you that one by saying they was living in caves before. They're down in the Caribbean.
This is not a joke, you know what I mean? This is nothing funny, nothing to giggle about and make yourself feel powerful, you know what I mean? Just to say, I'm the man. The man responsible for what? For ruining lives? I was strapped down on what they call 5 points. They strap you down in your boxes for 48 hours. Any old allegation. 8 hours, they're supposed to come through and let you use the bathroom, and then they let you up for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like you sitting there looking at the ceiling and wrestling in the cuffs, trying to go to sleep. That was on the 3 different times, so I know. Everything gets black, and it feel like even though you ate food, you just feel smaller. The more you wrestle the cuffs, trying to get comfortable to lay down and sleep, because you gotta think 48 hours. So you cry, some cry themselves to sleep. Cry, men. You're there until you actually piss on yourself. And they laugh about it. Oh yeah, you remember that time we made you piss on yourself? You don't want to go there, do you? It's something they use for fun.
5-point restraints are an extremely serious form of restraint. They are only supposed to be used under standard correctional practice to restrain someone who poses a serious danger to himself or someone else, basically for someone who's out of control. Never supposed to be used as punishment. And in this case, they clearly were.
No, there is no abuse. Inmates that strike out against correctional officers are dealt with swiftly. And I see no apology needed that when an inmate attempts to throw a punch, use a homemade device to try and hurt an individual, that we take them down swiftly with the most efficient tools that we have. And I stand by every officer that does that because that's our job.
Being within that facility day after day after day, and becoming more violent, becoming more racist, the hate. And so the domestic violence has gone up, the divorce rate, the drug and alcohol problems. It compounded so many of the social issues here. I spoke to correctional officers who knew David Tracy, knew the situation, knew the Frazier person, and just knew. And one said to me, he was just the kindest, you know, gentlest. He said, I can't imagine this happening to him.
On June 29th of 2000, Larry Frazier was having a diabetic attack. He was placed in shackles and in handcuffs, and a number of security personnel took him to the infirmary. He was given insulin in the infirmary, called out for his mother, was somewhat delusional. On the way, when he was moving around, he was hit at least 3 times with the Ultron 2, then put in what's called 5-point restraint. Then everyone left the room, and then there was a realization that he had stopped breathing.
They called me and told me that he had passed, and they told me he had a heart attack. I said, Larry didn't have no heart trouble. They asked me what they wanted to do with the body. I said, well, you just took him down there, you just bring him back. They sent him back ripped open, and they tied him up with string. They didn't sew him back or nothing. He was just real bloody and stuff, wrapped up in sheets. He was in no body bag or nothing, just wrapped up in sheets. And they brought him in a van. A guard, he had to be a guard that brought him in there in a van. So we took him off. The Undertaker cleaned him up a little bit and let us take pictures of him, how they sent him back. Oh, they lied. They lied. I took pictures of him. And the Undertaker, I seen all these marks on him. You know, there were 9 of them. 9 where they hit him with a stunt gun. And you can see they burnt right into his skin and everything. Now, you think that should be with a stun gun? You see his wrist? You see that? This is how they sent him back, wrapped up in sheets. His other hand.
What did the governor say about what happened to Larry, the Connecticut governor?
He said, he made a statement that the 50,000 volts went through his body was like a bee stick. But he won't let me hold it on him because it burned through his flesh. It burned through his flesh. I got the pictures. I can show you. Then I started getting phone calls from prisoners down there, letters and everything. There are people calling me, telling me how they did him. And I care for him, but I love my brother. This is how the sheets came. And they sent his body back. There wasn't no body bag or nothing, just one sheet in the cart. Now that's Larry. That's him. That's how he should have looked. He was not embalmed or nothing. They just tied him together. Because when the Undertaker, he cut the thing, he just fell apart. And they just stuck everything back in. Rib cage, all that, they stuck all that back in. It should have been like that, you know. So even the pictures alone will show you that they don't care about you. They don't care. It's the last one.
Prisons are a unique entity. They are a paramilitary organization with a very strict code of silence and a very strict code of loyalty. And guards are gonna lie, and they do lie, and their supervisors lie, and the administrators lie. The entire state of Virginia put up a wall and said, you know, if you want something from us, come and get it, because we ain't giving you anything. We're not gonna give you dirt unless you make us, unless you come down here with a court order and make us. These cases are intensely fought because the guards have every incentive in the world to cover up when they do something wrong.
And political lives are at stake. And to an administration that is bottom line oriented, as opposed to recognizing that prisons serve a function other than being profit centers, it was enticing for them to send it to Virginia.
Armstrong was sitting there lying about everything, but we were in Hartford, he was lying. It's on my mind every night, you know, think about it.
We allege and demonstrate that they were deliberately indifferent to David's situation. If they didn't show that deliberate indifference, if they didn't send him to Wallens Ridge, David would be alive today. In fact, he'd be out by now and he'd be home with his family.
I'm not gonna quit, say, forget about it. Gotta fight all the way. Gotta fight the streets, right? I'm not gonna give up.
Many people were discouraged when we first started fighting, and they said, nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to waste my time fighting, but we were determined. We had just made it to a meeting up in Hartford. We were going around introducing ourselves, and they announced that David Tracy died. I didn't even know who he was. I was, like, sick. That just fired us up once we got past the shock that, yeah, we really got to work to get them out of there. And then when another person died, it was like, you know, when are they going to get the message what's going on there? How many people have to die before they bring these guys out of Virginia? This crazy drug war, I don't know when it's going to end. I mean, we have generations of people in jail for drug charges, generations.
If people like us don't get out there and really rally against this thing and try to wake up the people in the neighborhood and tell all these people in the neighborhood, my child today, it might be yours tomorrow. So get out there and help us out.
The incarceration rate within our country is at an all-time high. Over 2 million individuals are incarcerated. Today, the integrity of the system remains intact, and the pressures we face today are the result of the deliberate, progressive steps taken to hold criminals more accountable for the consequences of their actions, restoring a back-to-basics philosophy within the system. As you may recall, in the late 1980s and early 1990s, we were faced with similar offender population management issues within the system that resulted in a host of problems that ultimately required a tremendous expenditure of taxpayer dollars to resolve.
Just quickly, as you recall, Commissioner, Representative Lawler and I were so concerned about the transfer of
prisoners to Virginia that we went out there with you to inspect it. Why is it nobody seems to be concerned about the transfer to Hawaii, and why haven't we been invited to inspect that?
If you're interested in coming with me to Hawaii when I go. Now I understand. Between January 1, 91 and January 1, 2002, the incarcerated population has risen 79%. Therefore, I believe it's absolutely imperative that we pursue an increase in the out-of-state placement of offenders.
We have no other options at the moment.
It is a matter of necessity. It's not a matter of convenience. Yes, sir. I am sensitive to the issues that the families had to deal with travel. We will explore to see if Virginia is able to work with us if we did have a statutory ability to go further with the numbers.
In other words, there's no contract already signed with the contingency that this legislation passed or anything like that?
No, that's correct. This bill would authorize the Department of Correction to increase our statutory authority to place inmates out of state from 500 to 1,000.
It is horrendous what is happening with our criminal justice system. They're trying to turn us from being coal dependent to be prison dependent. And Mrs. Tracy, I love you, and I just want to give you a big hug.
It just reminds me so much of slavery. You know, COs coming to your cell 2 o'clock in the morning. You look up and there's 5 big burly guards at your door saying, get on your hands and knees, you're going to Virginia, and shackle you hand and feet, and if you fight, they hog tie you. That sounds like slavery to me. That's how they came and got the slaves, you know what I mean?
Moving you from one plantation to another.
They're lying. I'm excited about being down in Virginia today. Aren't you excited? Yeah. I came 500 miles and I'm not going to be dead. You know the reason why? Our slogan is, if our foundation, we will not be silent anymore.
All right. Not being able to hold your baby is a punishment. When you're talking to your wife on the phone and she needs you and you can't be there, that's a punishment. When they call you in that office, the lieutenant's office, and tell you that your mother just died, that's a punishment. And you can't be there. That's a punishment. They don't need to be beaten. They don't need to be called niggers. They don't need to be called, the whites that stand with the blacks don't need to be called nigger lovers. And this is not the mentality of a few guards. This is the mentality of some of the people in our government. This is a war on the poor. This is a war on the inner city youth. What's going on in that prison is human torture. Not black torture, not white torture. It's human torture. And we should be sick and tired of it. Because I'm sick and tired of it. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. Who do we want?
Over and over again, I hear the pain-filled stories of the officers themselves as they share the devastating effects that working in prison has on them and their families. The whole system is evil.
What real difference has it made in the economy here? If you look around the county, look at the little towns, there's not a great deal of evident change at all.
Job selection around here is pretty crappy, so anywhere you can get a job around here is pretty much what you take. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Just talk to all the people that cause trouble.
Yeah, handling the tough guys, you know. They're not so tough.
I heard it was, you know,
decent.
Yeah, pretty easy. Well, not easy, but.
Well, there's not much opportunity for a young person around here. Anybody that's 18, 19, 20, I mean, what do you have? Walmart, fast food? My brother worked there as a guard for about 2 years. He said it was corrupt, and it went against his religious beliefs to continue working there, so he quit.
The prison business has been a big boom to our economy in Southwest Virginia. You have Wallens Ridge, you have one in Grundy, one in Pound, and now you have a federal 20 miles from here. Give me the prison. It's going to be here tomorrow, I think. If everybody, you know, gets on the good side, then I don't know what we do with it. But I think they're kind of like the poor. They will always be with us, as the Bible says. I think they'll always be criminals, because there's always somebody doing something wrong.
We went to Wallens Ridge already. These are the people that went to Red Onion.
Oh, you went up to Red Onion? Okay.
Yes.
Hi there.
Some of the
Welcome.
family.
And you're in
I've been coming down every month for 2 years.
For 2 years you've been down. We used to have so many from Connecticut that would come down.
Right.
Yeah, early on.
Even though they're being sent 8 hours, trip, the families
The
are determined they're going to still come out here.
Yes. Oh,
and
it's
everything.
a long trip. It's like the end of the world.
At the Red Onion and Wallens Ridge. Virginia's worst. Supermax by design. Intentional. Make no mistake about it. They mean to be the worst place. Prison. You know, that's designed to torture, to degrade you. Man, they're meant to break down your mental and physical, psychological. These guys that had problems got worse problems when they come to this system and they say, give him time. Time to do what? Time to die? This is a slow, gradual death, and once the guys realize this, this is when they give up hope. Jesus was one of the greatest rehabilitators, they say. You know, he could change people's way of thinking. But if Jesus was to rise up in Virginia's prison, he'd be on 5 points. In all his holiness, he'd be on 5 points. They spit on him. They put a crown of thorns on his head in Virginia's prison.